and community development interventions. She has extensive experience in implementation and management of peace building, gender, youth-led employment initiatives, and migration programs. Let's welcome to her seat Memuna Abdul Rauf. Memuna Abdul Rauf. Join us for the discussion. Memuna Abdul Rauf. Okay, thank you. The next to join us is Adib Saani. Adib Saani is the Executive Director of the Jati K Center for Human Security and Peace Building. Thank you, Ma'am. And Peace Building, and doubles as the CEO of Jati K Security, an IT-based security infrastructure and security provider. He is an Executive Council member of the Coalition of NGOs Against the Proliferation of Small Arms and Light Weapons, and an instructor with the Doyen Institute of Intelligence and Investigation. Adib has worked as Communications Officer of the World Bank Finance Ghana Integrated Financial Management Systems, and a host of qualifications and commitment to human security and peace. Let's welcome Adib Saani. Adib Saani. Thank you for joining us, Adib Saani. The next I have, who I almost forgot to introduce, and my apologies, please, Reverend Father Apengo. Reverend Father Clement Apengo. He's a team leader for NORSAAC program, Cognito Ghana, security and judicial sector governance. I understand is his area of expertise. He's a conflict prevention and peace building specialist with over 20 years practice in the field. He holds an MA and PhD in conflict analysis and resolution from George Mason University, Virginia, USA. Father Penyo is currently the team leader. I think I read that already. He is currently working on preventing and countering violence, extremism through judicial and security governance, social cohesion, conflict management and prevention, resilience, and community development. Kindly usher to the podium Reverend Apenyo. Reverend Apenyo. Reverend Father Clement Apenyo. Thank you very much for joining us for this discussion. Now, we've heard a lot about what is happening to the issues of violent extremism on, I was almost going to say the continent, in the sub-region, the issues that have been brought to the fore, the issues about Ghana's vulnerabilities, the risk factors that expose us. And of course, there's some hope because there's some resilience. The focus very much is on the issues of the youth. So I'll be very biased by first going on to the youth among us here. So I'll let you take the first question. After all that you have heard today, and all that you have been exposed to, what would you say as your position on the issue of violent extremism here in Ghana? What's your position? What do you think about it? And that's a question to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Memuna.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Thank you.
And good afternoon to us all here. And let me use this opportunity to congratulate NORSAAC on their 20th anniversary, 20 years of serving the good people of this nation. Before I delve into your question, violent extremism, as we've all heard, is any form of extremism that approves or condones violence and is done with deliberate intention which is usually political influence or religion, and even sometimes personal interest. And over the years, we have experienced several waves of violent extremism globally and political instability in West Africa. But despite all this, Ghana still remains one of the peaceful nations in the world. But this narration will not hold for a long time if something is not done, taking into consideration the threats that is coming from extremist organizations in the Sahelian region. And your question asking of the youth, one of the driving risk factors for violent extremism is youth unemployment, which Professor mentioned in his submission. And according to a report by the West African Center for Counter-Extremism, if we want to counter violent extremism in this nation, if we want to stop or prevent the extremists from getting into our nation, we need to tackle youth unemployment. Somewhere in November last year, we had a community session in the Upper West region with the border communities, where we had a discussion with traditional and community leaders to see what are the things that we need, what are the measures that we need to put in place to counter the threats that we are experiencing in the Sahelian region. And one of the participants shared his story with us. He has a sister in Burkina Faso. I think he's 25 years old, so he falls within the youth category. He visited his sister in Burkina Faso, and one day when he was walking down the street, like around their house, an unknown person approached him, greeted him, and said, "Oh, I've seen you around this neighborhood. Are you one of us?" And he said, "Oh, no. I'm from Ghana, but I came to visit my sister who stays here." So they had an interaction. And then the person said, "Oh, we need you to help us get some information." Actually, the sister is married to a politician. "We need you to help us get some information on your sister's husband. And this is our offer." And the amount they were offering him was 5 times his annual basic salary. 5 times his annual basic salary without taxes. He was tempted to take this money, but then he had to consider the safety of his sister and that of his own immediate family. Because if something should happen to the sister, it will go a long way to affect him. He thought over it and he declined the offer. But he admitted to us that he was tempted to take the money. And I can bet that each one of us seated here, if such an offer is made to us, 5 times our annual basic salary without taxes, about 99.9% of us will be tempted to take the money. But he didn't. And that is in response to youth unemployment in this country. This is a person with decent job, and at the end of the month, he knows that an amount of money is moving into my account, which I can use to cater for my basic needs and that of my family. Yet he was tempted. The question is, what's more of the vulnerable youth in this country who are unemployed?
Thank you very much for painting another picture to the story that we have been telling all day. Youth unemployment. The issue of youth unemployment is real. So many factors. What we want to put across is that yes, youth unemployment, but the responsibility for eliminating the problem is not a responsibility for one person only. As in what we always say, waiting for the government to provide. The government is bedeviled with, I'm not speaking for the government, but I'm speaking as somebody who understands the issues. The government is not the only person. Obviously, there's huge responsibility, and the government alone cannot provide the jobs. My question to you, Adib, will be, what are some of the interventions that you would say that you have been putting across? And for that matter, you have this platform to also talk about some interventions that will sell or will provide solutions to the issue of violent extremism that we have been talking about all day. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Rebecca. And let me also say a very big thank you to NORSAAC for the courtesy extended to me to be part of this very important occasion. But before I say anything, it will be ungrateful on my part to not acknowledge some 2 persons who God used to make me sit where I am today. The first person is, maybe Prof doesn't know, but he is one of the architects behind Adib Saani. I mean, I studied conflict analysis and mediation at Kofi Annan, and I know you had a hand in it, then under General Obed Akwa. And I also studied terrorism and counterterrorism at Leiden, Professor Edwin Bakker. And we studied a lot of the reports he put together. So I would like you to join me, extend gratitude to Professor. Secondly, I have my brother here, blood brother, as a matter of fact, Alhaji Razak Sani. He is the former regional director for the NCC. As a matter of fact, he sent me to school first. I'm the last. I'm the last of 25 children. So, as you know, I was all grown right beside my mother's bosom. Then he dragged me to school. The first day he dropped me at school, I asked him, so what if I look for trouble and they are going to beat me? What do I do now that you are leaving me there? So thank you so much for taking me to school. All right, so it is an incontrovertible fact that the terrorism scourge is real. We cannot run away from it. I remember clearly in 2016 there was an attack in Grand Bassam, Ivory Coast. There was a quickly organized National Security Council meeting in which it was agreed that yes, indeed, where we have gotten to after Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, the next targets would be Ghana and Togo. Today we know what is going on in Togo, don't we? So, for example, in 2019, there was no attack in Ivory Coast, Togo, and in Benin. But guess what? Last year, there were 13 attacks in Ivory Coast, 5 attacks in Benin, and 1 attack in Togo. So, on daily basis, it is coming closer and closer to us. However, there's something Prof said, and I think we need to pay a lot of attention to it. The local vulnerabilities is more of a threat to us than someone coming from somewhere. We cannot run away from the fact that, yes, indeed, there are some threats from Jenim, Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb. We have ISIS in the West Africa province. Now, they have splintered. Now, we have ISIS in the Greater Sahara. Okay? Ansar Din, Ansar Sharia, a whole lot of them hell-bent on hitting targets, also especially in the littoral area. Okay, however, the issue of youth unemployment, which I must say is the biggest existential threat to the security of the state. And recently I was telling someone, it's even becoming more like of a security risk, driving a V8 in town. People are angry, and I speak with my political friends. I tell them, do you sit in the trotros? Do you sit in the taxis? Do you know the level of anger in the system and how these terrorists can take advantage to conveniently recruit? So it is something we should be really concerned about. And I think there are a number of ways we can deal with it. Let us generate jobs or capacitate the youth to be engaged in activities that would bring some chop money at the end of the month. Like my sister Mimuna said, I mean, these terrorists approach people with money. Okay? So if you are already uncertain, if you are already in a desperate situation, it becomes much more easier for them. And now that we are fighting illegal miners, what happens to the young people? Some of them make as much as 5,000 cedis a day. We've asked them to go home. And let's not forget that every mining site, there's a gun. So what happened to these guns? And recently the finance minister also indicated that NAPCO would end. So what happens to the young people who are getting some 700 cedis at the end of the month? We are throwing them back into the streets. And so we really need to take care, ensure that this is very much taken care of. And finally, the issue of the proliferation of small arms and light weapons. Unfortunately, in Ghana, we don't have an arms regulator. a serious country that is serious about controlling arms. We don't have an arms regulator. The Small Arms Commission is just an advisory body. Kofi Annan in 2014 did a baseline survey in which it showed that there were well over 2 million guns. So 8 years down the line, how many more guns are in the system? Okay? And the local gun manufacturers are also there. So what do we do about it? We cannot count on the police hook, line, and sinker. There's the need for more action going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Surely we cannot run away from the issue of, the issue about creating jobs. I would have asked you a follow-up question, but I've been prompted that the time factor is an issue. But I wanted you to tell me specifically what you were doing to contribute to the issue of youth unemployment.
Okay, a quick one.
Yes.
We had some block factories in Tamale.
Tell us specifically, in other words, to provide, you have the platform to tell people, the young people, what you can do to support them. Because you just told a story about how you went to school and you were supported, and today you have become an asset to not only your family, yourself, your friends. And so that issue that we are trying to solve, unemployment, what have you, practically tell us some of the options or provisions that you can provide to the youth.
Okay, so the youth should learn to not always wait for the government to provide them jobs. On this occasion, I'm a motivational speaker. I started with 1 cedi, now I have $1 million. But let's be practical. I mean, it's not always easy. Sometimes you need to. No, I think most of the time you need to know someone to be able to get, what you want. So within the scheme of things, what do we do to help ourselves? I think sometimes we want to start big. But when we start small, whatever you do, you have to learn to love it and love what you do. That is one big secret the youth must know.
Thank you very much. A big secret, but everybody knows now, those who are here, at least the young ones, to carry on the message. And of course, we are streaming live, and we know our youth are very much online. So that message will be going out to them. Start small. You never know what will come to you. I tell them, take advantage of every little opportunity, because that is where everything begins. The very things that you think will not create big things are the ones that we disregard, are the ones that actually turn out to be the bigger things for us. Reverend, the issue that's coming out now is creating opportunities so that we can curtail the issue of violent extremism and all the issues that come with it. Tell us, from your point in the what you do, the Catholic Church, what sort of opportunities are there for the youth? What have you been doing, and what should the youth avail themselves with from your point of view?
Well, thank you very much. I join my colleagues in commending NORSAAC. Let me start by saying that I sell dawa dawa. So if you're looking for good dawa dawa in the north, you come. I'll sell you either the gallon or the food package.
Thank you.
I sell dawa dawa tea. Last year, I tried guinea fowl rearing. I have about 3 incubators. We bought about 5,000 eggs. Only 2,000 hatched. We ended up with 200. But we have not given up. Creativity. Creativity. What can your environment offer you? And how do you make use of that environment? We live in a situation where, there's no access to financing. Credit is too expensive. I won't advise anybody who is starting a business to go to a bank and loan. It's not going to help you. So what do? So the first thing that I would say to young people, be creative. Believe in yourself. Trust yourself. But above all, try and be honest. Try and be honest. I've decided that I'm not going to give up on young people. But, sometimes you can be very discouraged. So my first thing would be, you, the young people yourselves, must realize that if you don't carry your own burden, nobody will carry it for you. Number 2, you cannot compete with international organizations. I mean, how many people know that I started recording Dagbani music here in Tamale? But when we started with Nana Gazo and Co, I said, if you go gospel, you are not going to move forward. Let's start with Simpa. Adindan kanani ningunani kubanaga adindana. So look for your niche. Look for your niche. Do something that nobody else is doing. When you fail, try. You fail, you try. You fail, you try. The Catholic Church offers a number of opportunities in a lot of its programs. We're working with the Catholic Relief Services. They have a number of training programs that builds the capacities of young people in technical skills. In technical skills. You go to the Savannah region, I don't know if now the situation has been addressed. You cannot find one single person to service air conditioners. It has become a new region, and a lot of air conditioners are coming in. I may be a graduate, but can I find something that nobody is addressing and teach myself? The final thing I would say, do not stop learning. Do not stop learning. If you ask me today to come and lecture on anesthesiology, or what do you call it, give me an internet and give me 2 days. I will lecture like a pro. Many of you have cell phones. You have smartphones. How are you using your smartphones to generate money? So if we don't do this, then we become targets. The final point, final. I don't know if I have the opportunity to say this. Social cohesion. Social cohesion. Very often we do not count the cost of the psychological impact of violent extremism. When you see violence over a period of time, it becomes normal. I have seen over the years that in the North, we have gone from a very tolerant, peaceful, collaborative society into an intolerant society. When I came here in 1974, between 74 and 1990, you see a Dagomba family, or you see a family. The father is Muslim, the 3 wives belong to 3 different churches, the 25 children belong to 25 different churches. They eat together, they live in peace. What has become of us? And again, to the young people, let's look at our institutions. All those cults, all those groups are not going to help us until we begin to see ourselves as one people and work together as one people. We are going to expose ourselves to violent extremism. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend, for that. The psychology of, this violent extremism and the impact it has on our lives and on the families, you cannot even fathom. Let me ask you this, because I don't know if we'll come to you again. As you said, the time factor is critical for us here. Let me ask you quickly if you respond to the issue of communication. How are we communicating? The professor said it looks like we are not communicating very well. Give us an example of how we should be communicating when it comes to the issue of violence, extremism, or the factors or some of the things that we are likely to identify within your circles, the religious, give us some of the ideas, examples, some direction, some guidance as a takeaway from this forum.
First of all, we all lament the abuse of social media. Can we use the social media to change the narrative? Can we use the social media to cross-check on the false news? Yesterday, I was with a retired police commander and a number of security operatives when we received a message that some kids were abducted from a school in Bole. I showed it to him. He made 2 phone calls and came back and said it was false news. So rather, stop forwarding messages that you have not checked to be sure they are right. That will be the first. Let's stop forwarding. You receive a message, don't forward it until
civil society organizations, NGOs on the ground who are already doing a lot of work, and collaborate with them. Because these NGOs, NORSAAC, they know more than national security. They are with the people there. So we need to collaborate with them. And see, something has largely been an Accra thing, and it's vague, it's generic, it's full of ambiguities, like Prof. rightly mentioned. We need to get to the specificities. For example, when you see an individual holding blueprints, he's not an architect of sensitive infrastructure, like the blueprint, the architectural design of the Jubilee House, of the Silver Star Tower. You need to ask questions. When you see someone secretly taking pictures of sensitive installations, like the water supply system, electricity grid, where it is written clearly, do not take pictures here. You need to ask questions. When you see someone leave a bag unattended to over a period of time, don't assume that God has answered your prayers. And so you go pick it. It might be an improvised explosive device. Always draw the attention of any security officer around. And when you are living with your siblings and you realize that my brother is becoming so addicted to extremist online content, you also need to ask questions. And landlords, when individuals come from somewhere, sometimes we are eager to take their money without asking questions. At least let us do a little background checks before we give our accommodation to them. And not only food stockpiling. When people stockpile weapons, they stockpile, any type of item. We also need to ask questions, because in the end, you, myself, have an important role to play in safeguarding the peace and security of Ghana.
Thank you, Adib. Finally, I'm going to give the opportunity to you, Memuna. The future belongs to you. What kind of a future would you like to see? What's your contribution? What is the contribution of your colleagues as youth? We're talking about the issue of local vulnerabilities, where discipline and timeliness happen to be some of the contributing factors when it comes to our risk and exposure to the issue of violent extremism in our communities. A lot of the times, if you work with young people, sometimes their consciousness, I'm speaking tree here, because you work with young people, sometimes they don't seem to, be in sync with what is happening. They're on their phones, they seem distracted, they're doing other things, and these are the very people that we need to hold on, because they are the future. And the very people we're talking about, jobs, there are no job opportunities for them. All the problems come to you. You happen to be the future. If you have to proffer solutions, what are those solutions that you lay to this table? What will be your contribution for your colleagues as we go forward to eliminate this issue of violence, extremism, and then nibbing it in the bud? Practical solutions. Tell us. Bullet points.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, encountering violence, extremism, taking the youth into consideration, is a multidimensional approach, kind of integrated. It's not only one sector that needs to play their role. Each one of us has a role to play in ensuring that we counter the threats. And tackling youth employment, just as my senior colleagues have mentioned, it's not just about creating the job opportunity for the youth. No. I have worked with vulnerable youth for the past 3 years, where we provide technical and vocational skills training to them. And at the end of the day, we realize that the technical skills alone is not able to sustain them. So in as much as we are trying to provide this hard skills training for them, let's try to complement it with soft skills training, or what we term as the professional skills development. Attitude is very important, and I bet you, even if you're an expert at your job, no one would like to employ you if you don't have positive attitude. I wouldn't like to give my job to someone I can't trust.
Let's clap on that. Attitude is everything. Thank you.
Yeah. So creating job opportunities, and when non-governmental organizations, CSOs, come together to create this opportunity for us, we, the youth, should take them up. I have something to tell you. Let's have an open mind. When I completed university, I did community nutrition. And a friend reached out to me and asked me, Muna, you told me you want to do your service with a developmental organization. If you guess one, would you like to do? And I said yes. Then the person told me, but you did community nutrition. You are supposed to be in the hospital. And I said, I can do whatever I want to do, so far as I make up my mind that I want to do it. And that is why today I am working with Catholic Relief Services. If someone presents an opportunity to you as a young person, even if you don't know how to do it, do not decline their offer. Father Clement mentioned here, if you ask him to tutor or take students through medicine, anesthesia, or whatever it is, give him 2 days. He will go and prepare and then come back and deliver as expected. So have an open mind. When an opportunity is being presented to you, do not decline. And thank God we have the regional minister here and other politicians here. We need a seat at the table, we the young people. We don't always want you people to go there and make decisions for us. Involve us in the decision making. We are those the extremist organization are luring because we are energetic and we are vibrant and we can do anything. So please provide a seat for us at the table. Stop making decisions for us. And when we talk, you have to listen to us. So participatory decision making. And the participatory decision making, I must say, representation matters. We are not asking you to take all the males there. Please include the females. Please include the female. Gender is very important here. We need each and every one. We need the ideas of all the youth in this country. Don't limit it to one sex. Open it up. And when you bring us to the sex, do not expect us to shut up and listen to you. Give us the opportunity to voice out. And when we talk, please listen.
Can I?
Are you done?
Okay, and I'm talking about participatory. And the youth, when the state, the nation entrusts the role in our hands, please, we shouldn't let them down. If we are letting them down, we are not letting down ourselves, but we are letting down our daughters, our sons, and the future generations, because they wouldn't want to trust anything in the hands of the youth if we fail them. Thank you very much.
Giving people the voices matter. When the voices are marginalized or muted, that's where the problems begin to happen, because they feel they are not part of the process. So I think my young lady Memuna has said it all. We need to give them a voice at the table. So the powers that be, over to you. Father Clement, you have something to say.
I just wanted to say that today is a great day for me to be sitting here with Memuna. I saw her first day at work. And Memuna, let me say, I'm so proud of you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. 20 years of transforming lives in NORSAAC. Transforming lives. We heard from Adib how he's told a story about how, his life has been transformed by someone here. And people giving him the opportunity. So giving people opportunity to be able to transform lives, I believe, will be a contributing factor to, eliminating this whole threat of violence, extremism, and what have you from the sub-region. So let's put our shoulders to the wheels and make sure we put in our part to make sure that a collective decision is arrived at, collective solution to bring some sanity and a better life to our societies. Thank you all for the time. We'll go ahead with the next. Thank you, Adib. Thank you, Memuna. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and have, I understand the regional minister would like to leave. So we'll take the regional minister's slot. So regional minister, Honorable, if you are ready, Honorable